BBOR Black Box Online Radio, coming to you from West Virginia. BlackBoxNid88 on Instagram for the bonus podcast. And welcome to BBOR, the home of true crime talk radio and your premier destination for unsolved mysteries, criminal psychology, and exploring the dark side of cyberspace. My name is Ned DeHaan, and I am your host, as well as the creator of AstroPsych 400 here on YouTube, and regular contributor to the Zodiac Killer channel. And a great way to support these shows is just by listening to some more content. But you can also go over to Amazon.com and have a look at the book Killer on a White Horse, written by me, Ned DeHaan. It is a novel, murder mystery, inspired by the Zodiac Manson connection, but it is indeed fictional. However, who doesn't love a good mystery? And there is always the Teespring page. Feel free to check out some of the merchandise. And remember, being weird is not a crime. Let the show begin. This episode of Black Box Online Radio is brought to you by Rep Sports and Raze Energy. Are you a fan of energy drinks, protein shakes, and health foods? Well, I sure am. I use the stuff almost every single day. They sell Raze Energy products at my local gym, but you can have them shipped to your home. Use the coupon code NED075, that's NED075, for discounts applied at the checkout. The link is in the description box. Okay, hello everybody. Today is Monday, another Zodiac Monday. Welcome to the show. First, I would like to give a big thank you to everyone who requested an episode on hearing a discussion about the real-life Zodiac Killer and the movie The Batman, specifically looking at the character of the Riddler. And if you watch this newer version of the Batman, Batman is played by Robert Pattinson, and the Riddler is played by Paul Dano. And I would like to give a special shout-out to Mystery Junkie, who sent in a couple requests for this one, but there were other people who requested this topic as well, and as you can hear, this is one that is suggested by one of the listeners. So if you have anything that you would like to hear about, whether it's Zodiac Killer related or something for the Anything Goes Friday segment, you can put your ideas in the comments section down below. And to remind you guys, I do a weekend segment called the Zodiac Killer Debunking series, where I talk about Zodiac suspects whom I think absolutely are not the Zodiac Killer. So also thank you to everyone who listened to that episode on the Zodiac Killer BTK connection, the idea that the Zodiac and Dennis Rader BTK were one and the same. And the final thing to say is, in the previous Zodiac Monday episodes that I've been doing on this channel, maybe for the last 5 weeks, I was just calling them the Zodiac Killer News Reports, so I could talk to you guys about different subjects all at once. But I can read what you guys say in the comments section. Some of you were saying that you didn't like the name News Report because it's not talking only about news. A lot of it is also just whatever I'm learning about the Zodiac Killer. So maybe I'll go back to just the Zodiac Killer Q&A session so I can talk to you guys about the comments that you're leaving on the Zodiac episodes, as well as the other true crime discussions here on this channel, and also following along with some real-life true crime news. And there are a lot of things here on Black Box Online Radio, so as always, I invite you to like and subscribe. I just got done watching the movie The Batman, and even if I didn't have a lot of familiarity with the Zodiac Killer, absolutely I would believe that the Riddler was a direct recreation of the real-life Zodiac Killer who operated in California from 1968 to 69 and maybe committed additional murders. And the film begins with some very direct allusions, and I will give the disclaimer that this episode will contain spoilers. If you have not seen The Batman yet, and you're someone who doesn't like to hear what's going on, if you don't like to hear spoilers, then you can hit the pause button now and come back at a later time. Or if you're somebody who likes to watch the movie, even if you know everything that's going on, you can keep listening. But I just want to be very clear one more time, this episode will have spoilers about the movie The Batman. But the Zodiac Killer Riddler connection is not an accident, and it's not something that they were trying to hide. I was listening to a video on David Orenchak's channel where the director openly said that this version of the Riddler was based on the Zodiac Killer, and it starts out on Halloween with Batman experiencing a crime scene that was committed by the Riddler, and there is something that is extraordinarily similar to the real-life Halloween card that was written by the Zodiac Killer and mailed on October 27th of 1970. However, of course, the Zodiac wasn't trying to get the attention of some type of vigilante. The Zodiac mailed the Halloween card to the journalist Paul Avery of the San Francisco Chronicle, and it said something to the effect of, "I know you wait to know my name, but then why spoil the game?" And it had skeletons on it, and it had a pumpkin on one of the skeletons, and a spider web, and some of the there were eyes that were drawn all over the Halloween card, and instantly, from the get-go, the version of the Riddler that is in the Batman was more sadistic, was more confrontational, was more physical with the victims, talking about committing crimes with blunt force trauma, lacerating the victims, as well as cutting off someone's thumb. And the real-life Zodiac Killer did not do things like that. The Zodiac was someone who was sneaky, but not very brave, not very challenging, and did not have a lot of confrontation with the live victims. The Zodiac Killer was someone who mostly committed a crime and then tried to get away as quickly as possible. In fact, in all of the Zodiac's confirmed crimes, that's exactly what the killer did, even if there was some contact with the bodies. For example, the first Zodiac crime was the December 20th, 1968 shooting at Lake Herman Road, where the Zodiac Killer murdered David Faraday and Betty Lou Jensen, shooting two teenagers who were vulnerable and defenseless in the dark, and then driving away. The next crime was the July 4th, 1969 shooting at Blue Rock Springs Park, shooting two people in a car and then driving away, maybe quickly, maybe slowly, we don't really know. And then the third crime was the one where the Zodiac Killer got very up close and personal with the victims. He brought a knife, pre-cut lengths of rope, and a gun that was most likely a .45 caliber handgun, and accosted Brian Hartnell and Cecilia Shepard at Lake Berryessa. After they were tied up, the Zodiac Killer stabbed them, and then walked away and wrote a message on Brian Hartnell's car door. But still, that is the same pattern, and that is another commonality among all the Zodiac crimes: committing the crime and then just walking away and trying to get away as quickly as possible. And then with the Stein murder, the murder of Paul Stein, the taxi driver, on October 11th of 1969, the Zodiac Killer shot him once in the side of the head, and then most likely cut off a piece of his shirt at the crime scene and walked out of the area, walked into the night, never to be seen again, and it's never 100% confirmed that the Zodiac Killer committed any other crimes. Those are not extremely sadistic. Oh, they're sadistic. Absolutely. Absolutely. And this is one point where I disagree with the profiler Sharon Hagan when she said that the Zodiac Killer was not a sadist. Though there's some sadism going on. The Zodiac had people tied up at Lake Berryessa and stabbed them in the back, and also turned Cecilia Shepard over and stabbed her 5 times in the front side. There has to be some type of element of sadism going on in that. But the Riddler in the Batman is absolutely in a larger world of his own when it comes to bringing pain and terror into his victims. They took some of the elements from the real-life Zodiac story and incorporated it into this film, such as the killers leaving behind ciphers, and not only are they answers to riddles, but there are these little ciphered cryptograms that have to be solved, and one of these solutions was provided before I even saw the movie on David Orenchak's channel, when he was trying to answer the question about a riddle. What does a liar do when he's dead? He lies still. And that solution was provided already, but this also heavily mirrored the real-life attempts to solve the Zodiac Killer's Z408 cipher. 408 because it had 408 characters in it, and the cipher was solved in the summer of 1969 by Donald and Betty Hardin. And in the movie The Batman, they have Batman's butler, Alfred, trying to solve the cipher, but he looks at the solution that says he lies still, which is part of a larger cipher, and he thinks that that could be the key to a bigger cipher, and he first looks for the double L's because kill has, still has two letters in it, but in the real life world, it was the word kill, and, Don and Betty Harden thought that the Zodiac Killer was so full of himself that the first letter had to be I, and then if the first letter were indeed I in the cipher, then they could find the double L for kill, and then that gives them the letter K, and then they were able to see the first sentence, I like killing, again in the real life Zodiac cipher. But of course the one for the Batman was a little bit more complicated. And there's a very involved, twisted plot in the Batman. It was actually somewhat complicated, but here is a big difference, though, with the Riddler in the movie and the Zodiac Killer in the real life. That is that the Riddler targeted specific individuals, high-profile individuals, people like the mayor, a police commissioner, the district attorney, and he has a reason for this, but the Zodiac Killer didn't show any particular pattern with the choice of victims. Some people think that it was simply heterosexual animosity that was fueling somebody to commit these crimes, and then he was just a rejected lover, or somebody maybe who was never a lover at all, and he wanted to go after couples at lovers' lanes, and then he thought, okay, I've done that 3 times with the Lake Herman Road murders, the Blue Rock Springs shooting, and the Lake Berryessa stabbing. So for the 4th crime, the Zodiac Killer deviated from the path because he thought that the police were watching the lovers' lanes, and he went after Paul Stein, the taxi driver, something that was a little bit unexpected. He avoided it getting caught by changing the way that he committed his crimes. That is hardly anything to the scale of the plot that is created by the Riddler in the movie The Batman. And as I said, he's trying to bring down the entire city, more or less in a revenge campaign, and a revenge for specific reasons, whereas the real-life Zodiac Killer's motive is very abstract. And at this time, I would like to inform you guys that there is an article on ZodiacKiller.com about the comparisons between the real-life Zodiac Killer and the Riddler. I saw that posted on their Facebook page yesterday, on the ZodiacKiller.com Facebook page, I should say, but I have not read that one because I didn't want that one to influence my thinking and responding to the movie directly. However, just saying that there are several other resources out there, and I've already cited Dave Orenchak's channel. But another major point in the movie The Batman is the Riddler follows up on his threats, whereas the Zodiac Killer in real life did not. The Zodiac talked about blowing people up with a bomb, and I know that's not the best language. More or less, the Zodiac said that he had planted a bomb and then he got swamped out by the rain. He also said that he was going to detonate a bus bomb, and he didn't do any of that. As far as I know, the Zodiac Killer never actually detonated any explosives. He even said in one letter, I believe it's the one with the map code, the Z32 cipher, it says that my bus bomb was a dud. And I apologize because the first time I read off that entire letter on the channel, I thought it was bar bomb. My bar bomb was a dud. The Zodiac had terrible handwriting, but I have terrible handwriting too, so I shouldn't be too critical. But if you watch the movie The Batman, you'll see very clearly the Riddler detonates real-life bombs, and he creates a lot of chaos. And right now I'm going to do something on this channel that I don't do too frequently, but perhaps I'll do some more in the future. And that is to talk about the actual plot of the movie as well as criticisms about what could have been done differently. And I felt that this was a very good film, very engaging, very action-oriented, yet there were some immediate setbacks. Like when I got to the theater, they had 3 different rooms that were showing the Batman, and the person who was selling the tickets directed us to the wrong one, even though it said the Batman on the door. Some of us were just sitting in the wrong room waiting for the movie to start, then someone went out and asked, so we went to the correct theater, so I missed maybe the first 5 or 10 minutes of the movie. That was not good. And there is one scene in the movie, though, where the Riddler says the word detonation. I think he said the word detonators. And at that time, someone's cell phone rang, and you just hear this like ringing noise. And I thought it was part of the movie, and I think a lot of other people in the theater did. But then we looked around, and we just saw that someone was turning off their cell phone, and that was like a complete plot twist. But it was done in a purely unexpected way. I mean, only because someone left their cell phone on, and I thought that a bomb was about to go off when it didn't. But in this movie, Batman is played by Robert Pattinson, and he also plays Bruce Wayne. And I don't know if you guys would accept this or not, you Batman fans out there, but playing Bruce Wayne is so much more difficult than playing Batman. I thought Robert Pattinson was a fairly convincing Batman. I thought he did that aspect very well. I didn't really like him as Bruce Wayne too much, and I'm very critical of everyone. I did not like Michael Keaton. I did not like Val Kilmer. I didn't like George Clooney. I did like Christian Bale, however, and to a certain extent Ben Affleck, but I thought that Christian Bale in the of course in Batman Begins and the Dark Knight Rises, I thought that he was someone who actually looked like Bruce Wayne and put on the mannerisms of a billionaire playboy, even though it's mostly a facade. Okay, he actually looked like the billionaire's son, and he pulled that off very well. Nothing against Michael Keaton. I thought he did very well in both of the Batman movies, but I thought he didn't look like Bruce Wayne from the comic books or from the animated series, or just how I would conceptualize Bruce Wayne. And maybe that's just me. That's a very unpopular opinion. But I saw the Riddler featured in the movie Batman Forever, where Batman is played by Val Kilmer and Chris O'Donnell plays Robin. I absolutely disliked that movie. I disliked that movie with every fiber of my being. And I even once told somebody that the movie Batman Forever is actually worse than Batman and Robin because it's just so silly. It's, well, they're trying to put these comic book characters on screen, but they didn't have any of the darkness that would come later on in later Batman movies, particularly in the Nolan films. And to a certain extent, some of the other ones in the DC universe, and definitely now with the Batman, we can see, alright, it's acceptable to have a darker, more realistic version of the story. And someone did challenge me on that, saying, no, absolutely not. Batman and Robin with George Clooney is the worst Batman film. And I'm like, oh yeah, why is that? Because they had Arnold Schwarzenegger playing Mr. Freeze. And I was like, yeah, okay. What killed the dinosaurs? The Ice Age! Oh, let's kick some ice! And I was like, oh yeah, that was bad. That was bad. But, I think though that the only saving grace is there's this gang in the movie Batman and Robin that inhabits a Turkish bath, and I thought they looked really badass. It gets taken over by Poison Ivy and Bane, but those are old ass Batman movies. With the Batman from 2022, I absolutely thought that the portrayal of the Riddler was better. Definitely a better movie villain. Definitely a more entertaining character than what was done in some of the things like with Jim Carrey playing the Riddler in Batman Forever, and even just the Riddler on Batman the Animated Series. All right, like, we get it, he's a silly guy that tells riddles. Why not make him dark and sinister and cold and methodical and calculating, but also extremely dangerous? Most of what the real-life Zodiac Killer did was just talk and just complaining and just saying that, hey, I have no friends and there's this thing inside me that wants me to kill people, and I'm scared and I have no one to talk to me, so I'm just going to kill people. I mean, more or less, that's what's going on in the entirety of Zodiac letters, if you look at the majority of them that we've actually learned about. But here is a big difference, to talk about the real life thing for a second, before I go off on the fictional stories for too long. The Zodiac Killer did not want to get captured, and only because I've been talking about BTK a little bit on this channel, the serial killer Dennis Rader, Bind, Torture, Kill. One point where I think the Riddler is a little bit similar to BTK is he wanted to get caught. He is trying to get caught, and he isn't fighting the attempts to catch him too easily. I mean, I don't know what was going on in BTK's mind exactly, but it appeared that he wanted to get caught. Why? So he could have his moment when he could tell everybody how he did it, he could tell everybody why he did it, and he wanted to use that as a way of impressing people, as a way of trying to just show the world that I am this despicable, twisted serial killer. I outsmarted you all for this long. This is how I did it. And he is going to turn himself into someone who is publicly going to brag about his crimes. The Riddler in the Batman did that, and BTK did that, but did the real-life Zodiac Killer? No, I don't think so, because we don't know who the Zodiac was. It's an unsolved case, an unsolved mystery. And that is something where, I mean, it adds to the cowardice of the real-life Zodiac Killer. But I think that the Riddler in the Zodiac movie, I shouldn't say the Zodiac movie, the Riddler in the Batman was more of what's been accepted as the sad little man theory, that there is just this guy who feels rejected from society, who felt entitled to certain things, and he didn't get them, so he wanted to retaliate and wreak havoc upon society. And he is part of somewhat of an involved, complicated plot, and to do so, but not everyone agrees with that type of theory in the Zodiac Killer mystery. Some people think that there was a group of people, some people think that it was a partnership or 4 people, or that it was something even orchestrated by the CIA. No, in the Batman it seems pretty clear that somebody is behind it. But the problem with Batman movies, as well as Batman comic books and animated TV shows, is because they are movies and comic books and TV shows, what happens to them? They get put into Arkham Asylum, and then they get out again, over and over and over again. And I think they changed the name of it to Arkham State Hospital or something like that, but you guys who know the comic books and the storyline way better than I do, you can correct me in the comment section down below if I get anything wrong. But somebody once told me this, that the absolute best writers in the world are not those Nobel laureates, or they're not those people who write best-selling paperback novels and such. No, the best writers in the world are people who take over writing a comic book from someone else. Say, for example, if a major character in a comic book storyline is killed in issue number 75, and then a different writer has to take over, and they have to think about, how am I going to save this person and bring this person back to life? That is the true challenge of literature, even if it's in graphic illustrated form. That is where the true brilliance comes into play. Oh, sure, there's a reason why people get sent to Arkham State Hospital, Arkham Asylum, and they're not just simply obliterated, and the Superman doesn't throw everybody into the sun all the time. He could if he wanted to. Well, then they wouldn't be able to come back for the next issue, now would they? But you could always have another Kryptonian pull their atomic structures out of the sun and then reshape them, or maybe just pull them out of their dreams, so to speak, and then create another dreamlike clone version that only haunts this person's memories or haunts them while they're asleep. I don't know. You could think of something. You could think of something to bring back characters. But something about the movie, The Batman, is that mostly the Riddler has succeeded. He didn't do everything that he was planning to do, but he did almost all of his serial killing endeavors, almost all of his terrorist-like endeavors, and the Riddler is not only a serial killer, he is also a terrorist in that film, the same way that the Zodiac Killer was also a serial killer and a terrorist. But as far as stopping the Riddler, they really stopped him when it was almost too late. Some other praiseworthy elements about the film are that there's this one car chase that they're doing in a rainstorm, and I really like how it was done, that made it look like exactly the way it is when you're driving a car. and in a rainstorm. I felt that was very realistic. There's also a scene at the end of the movie where the Riddler is in Arkham State Hospital, I guess, and he is hearing this voice. And I really like how it was presented, where you can't quite tell at first, is this just his own psychotic delusion? Is he actually hearing a voice in his head that is driving him to commit these crimes? Or was it another person? And then you learn later on that it is indeed somebody else who was in the cell next to him. Now again, you guys could weigh in the comments section below about what do you think about this stuff, but a lot of people on Facebook were saying that the Batman is better than Christopher Nolan's The Dark Knight, the one with Christian Bale and Heath Ledger playing the Joker. And when I walked out of the movie theater, I thought, absolutely not. And I was also talking about the movie Joker once on this channel. It's like, who played the better Joker, Joaquin Phoenix or Heath Ledger? I still have to give it to Heath Ledger. If you want to dispute that with me in the comment section down below, I really think that the movie The Batman didn't quite get to the level of The Dark Knight, because all of the explanations of madness when someone is just trying to highlight the absurdity of life and looking about how it's all one big joke. And here's something else that's different between the Joker and the Riddler. The Joker does evil things because he wants to do evil things. He even says very clearly in The Dark Knight, it's not about money. He is just chaotic and destructive, and he's trying to bring terror on society because he is a villain. He's also way more mysterious. The Riddler featured in The Batman has a very calculating motive, which he has every right to do as a villain. Okay, he doesn't have a right to do it, but he's a villain, so he's going to do it anyway. But there's a certain element that is not quite as powerful as the Joker, particularly Heath Ledger's version. But can I just ask you, which Batman movie do you like the most? And I know I said some things about the Michael Keaton films, Batman and Batman Returns. I absolutely loved them. I just didn't think that Michael Keaton looked like the way that I imagined Bruce Wayne, and I didn't think that Robert Pattinson did either. I thought that he was way too somber, and he just didn't have that pristine look that I expected Bruce Wayne to have. His hair's kind of all over the place, and I didn't quite think that that was appropriate, but he performed well, and he did the scenes as Batman very well. This movie, The Batman, also features Catwoman, Selina Kyle, and no, not Patience Phillips, the one that Halle Berry put on back in, how long has that been? What was that, 15, 18 years ago, maybe? Something like that. But no, I thought that Catwoman was actually done as well as she could be. They really didn't get into the whole feline aspect of Catwoman, but rather only a few details that were reminiscent of some of the Catwomen from the past. I thought that was pretty good. Did you ever watch the movie Catwoman with Halle Berry? It's entertaining. It's not good. It's not good. It's entertaining. See, I like watching bad movies. I absolutely love them. I love the Golden Raspberry films. Why not? But if you'd like to look at Batman movies, can we count Joker with Joaquin Phoenix? I mean, that is more of an origin story about the Joker, and it's a little bit Batman-related and Batman-connected, but it's definitely done in the pre-Batman times. However, I don't know, if you want to put that in there, I would also put Joker above the Batman, because that was more about somebody's descent into madness. And again, there's psychological elements that we can evaluate. And I thought the Batman from 2022 was really going to do a lot more of that with the Riddler, that it was going to incorporate all of these elements that the Riddler is going to show about his descent into madness. And I thought that there's a scene where he's talking to Batman through the glass when he's in Arkham, and I thought that we were just going to see him take over the movie for a while, and it was going to be all about him revealing his descent into madness and sadism. But ultimately, he was just a sad little man who didn't get what he wanted in life. And something, though, about the movie The Batman is there's one scene where the Riddler starts singing the song Ave Maria, and I wish that he had started singing something from the Mikado instead, the operetta by Gilbert and Sullivan that the Zodiac Killer actually quoted, because then later on there's this scene where Batman just plunges into the water, and I was reminded of the 1974 Exorcist letter, where the Zodiac wrote, he plunged into the billowy wave in the suicide's grave, Titwillow, Titwillow, Titwillow. I'm paraphrasing, but it's more or less quoting something from the Mikado, even though he spelled Titwillow wrong. So the Zodiac was known to misspell words. So I wish that they had done that in more of a Mikado style. But they bring up this notion of, is the killer in the Batman, the Riddler, making a mistake when something is misspelled or the wrong word is used? And they say the Riddler doesn't make mistakes. Well, the real-life Zodiac Killer made all kinds of mistakes, whether it was spelling Christmas with 2 S's, Christ Mass. I just said he misspelled Titwillow, and he also used the example of, I'm mildly serious to know how much you have on my head, and he spelled Cirrus instead of curious. He spelled it Cerous. Everybody would know he's talking about the word curious, but that could be from a chemical cirrus oxalate. Why are there misspellings in the Zodiac's work? Did the Zodiac actually intend to use these? If I had to bet my life on it, I would say yes, the mistakes are deliberate and intentional, and then we're just left at guessing. The people like us who are trying to figure this out are just meant to be kept guessing. I think that that the Zodiac knew exactly what he's doing. Maybe they have a meaning, maybe they don't. But one point where the Zodiac Killer may have genuinely made a mistake is the final solution, or the final line of his 408 cipher, the one that was solved by Donald and Betty Hardin, where there's just a mash of letters at the bottom, lots of E's and B's and O's and I's, but there are 18 letters in it, and it is referred to as the Z18. It could be a cipher, but it could be something rather different. It could be just an unscrambled message, or the message that has been scrambled and we need to unscramble it. And it could also be a genuine mistake on the part of the cryptographer. I really don't know. I've never found a convincing solution to the Z18 cipher. Robert Graysmith thought that it was Robert Emmett the hippie, and then there are other solutions out there. Lauren Swearigan is selling one online. I just read this from somebody in the comments section here on Black Box Online Radio when they said that there are 5 E's in the Z18, and if you remove the E's, those are like filler spaces, then you have 13 letters, and that gives you what could be the solution to the Z13 cipher, and it's actually the killer's identity that is found, because the Z13 cipher, again a real-life Zodiac cipher, has 13 symbols, and it's also called the My Name Is cipher, and it says My Name Is, and there's a dash and the 13 symbols. So, who knows? I mean, I have never heard a convincing explanation about the Z18, the Z13, or the Z32 cipher. The Zodiac had 4 complete ciphers, and the other 2 are the Z408 and the Z340. Those have both been solved. The Z340 was solved about a year and a half ago, and the Z408, it was solved early on in 1969. But a lot of it's a mystery. Well, this episode was mostly geared toward people who have watched the movie The Batman, and if you want to weigh in the comment section down below, please drop your ideas. I know that I'm talking a lot about the Zodiac Killer and Batman and the Riddler all at once, but as I said, that was the focus of this episode here. Please weigh in. I would love to read your messages and comments. I would love to hear from you. Share anything that you want, and if you want to send things to me privately, you can do it at blackboxonlineradio@AOL.com. My email address is in the description box, as well as my personal Facebook. There's also a Facebook for the show, Black Box Online Radio. Of course, BlackBoxNed88 on Instagram, and you can look for some of the other links in the description box. There is the Rep Sports and Raze Energy page, as well as the Teespring page if you want to check out the t-shirts, merchandise. You can look at my book, Killer on the White Horse. It is a novel, and I will see you over on Instagram for the bonus podcast. Until next time.